Alright, so here's a PDF, and I'll put the link in the description of essentially 8 pages of the chakras, the origin of the chakras, which is in the Upanishads, the Upanishad. Basically, I believe it's a Vedic book of, essentially it's this philosophy, kind of old school philosophy and wisdom. It's a decent read if you're interested in, where the origin of all the yogic type stuff. I thought it was better than the Vedas, just because the Vedas were a bit too ritualistic and all that. Upanishads is just pure, like natural and spiritual philosophy. Anyway, this is a very important one, so I'm gonna read out the the main kind of bits for you right now. Right, Sanskrit word chakra means wheel or discus and implies something that is turning or spinning. Chakras are energy centers that interpenetrate the physical body. The chakras are first referred to in the Yoga Kundalini Upanishad, that is part of the Krishna Yajur Veda, said to be written between 1400 BC and 1000 BC. So a while ago. Anyway, it says there are 6 chakras plus Sahasrara, the crown chakra, so the basic 7 essentially, and the chakras are centers of Shakti as vital force. Now, there's a glossary here, so I'm going to look up most of the words. I don't know most of them because I don't study yogic stuff too much. Okay, it doesn't have Shakti here. I think Shakti, they kind of mean like power, inherent power or something like that maybe. As a vital force. These are the centers of Prana Shakti. Prana means like breath. I think it's basically the same word as chi. So it could be the vital force within the breath as well. Prana Shakti manifested by Pranavayu in the living body. And I believe Pranavayu just means like focus on the breath or something like that. Anyway. Kundalini Yoga. Kundalini is serpent power or mystic fire, is a primordial energy of Shakti that lies dormant or sleeping in the Muladhara Chakra, the center of the body. It is called the serpentine or angular power on account of serpentine form. It is an electric, fiery, occult power, the great pristine force which underlies all organic and inorganic matter. Yes. A wise yogi should take the Kundalini from the Muladhara to the Sahasrara, or the 1,000-petal lotus in the crown of the head. This process is called Shakti Chalana. Kundalini should pass through the Svadhisthana Chakra, the Manipura Chakra in the navel, the Untitled Chakra in the heart, the Vishuddha Chakra in the throat, the Ajna Chakra between the eyebrows, or the Trikuti. Let me look that up, see if there's a word here for it. Yes, meaning the confluence of the 3, the third eye, okay, where the 3 main nadis converge. Okay, interesting. Right, now they do talk a lot about raising Kundalini. My thoughts on that, just be careful. You don't have to raise it. A lot of the time you have to work on the lower centers first, and it takes a lot more. Don't think of like, it's like, don't think of that you have to get to the end of the journey really quickly or anything like that. It's I don't know how to explain it more than to say that it just kind of isn't important until it is, and it's not important until it is. It's just, don't try to force any of this stuff to happen. It's not the best thing to do. Anyway, Kundalini is not what I'm interested in this actual thing, but I figured I would read a little bit of it out. Here's some of the more interesting things. Okay, Kundalini Yoga Upanishads and the 6 chakras. There are 6 chakras. Muladhara is in the anus. Svadhisthana is near the genital organ. Manipura is in the navel. Anahata is the heart. The Vishuddhi chakra is at the root of the neck. Sixth chakra, the Ajna, is in the head, between the two eyebrows. After gaining knowledge of these 6 mandalas or spheres, one should enter the Sukha Mandala, drawing up the Vayu and sending it upwards. Alright, let's look at these terms. Sukha Mandala. Sphere of happiness, Sahasrara, the crown chakra. And okay, so let's retranslate that. After gaining knowledge of the 6 mandalas or spheres, one should enter the Sukha Mandala, so the crown, drawing up the Vayu and sending upwards. What is Vayu? Vayu is a word for air. Okay, it is one of the 5 great elements. Should draw the breath upwards, basically the focus upwards. After knowing Vayu, the above mentioned Bindu and Sattva, Prakriti, as well as the 6 chakras, one should enter the sphere of happiness, Sahasrara, or the Sukha Mandala. Okay, it's basically saying, so once you learn how to use the other 6, you pretty much just sit at the crown. Very interesting. Yoga is the art of uniting the individual soul with the supreme soul, of uniting the Kundalini Shakti lying dormant in the Muladhara chakra, which Siva or Shiva, I don't know, in the Sahasrara chakra by convention. All practices for helping attainment of this goal are also called yoga. Right. So we can pretty much see that the goal of yoga, at least in this, from what I'm understanding, is to be able to raise yourself up to the crown chakra. Now, when I was saying, the whole Kundalini thing, you don't really have to do this if you don't want to, is that some people don't really want to do that. Some people enjoy living in different chakras. Some people enjoy living in the navel chakra of action and work and motivation and strength and all that. Some people like living in the root chakra of money and property and all this and stability and such. Of course, it is a fun little journey to open up all these chakras and to do the work on these and such, and to experience the Kundalini and all this. But what I'm saying is that once you've hit the end, then you've actually just hit the start again. It is cyclical in that manner. That's why I say, don't try to force yourself to the end, or don't try to, screw yourself up by overdoing these things, because there really is, you hit the end, then what? Then what? Then nothing, essentially, or then whatever you want. Anyway, let's continue going on. The chakras are centers of Shakti as vital force. In other words, these are centers of Prana Shakti manifested by Prana Vayu in the living body, the presiding devatas of which are the names for the universal consciousness as it manifests in the form of these centers. The chakras are not perceptible in the gross sense physically, even if they were perceptible in the living body which they help to organize. They disappear with the disintegration of organisms at death. Yes, so spiritually these things, if something dies, it just kind of evaporates, because the spiritual body, or the prana body, I guess you could call it, just leaves. The mind of a worldly man with base desires and passions moves in the Muladhara and Svadhisthana chakras, or centers situated near the anus and the reproductory organs, respectively. If one's mind becomes purified, the mind rises to the Manipura Chakra, or the center in the navel, and experiences some power and joy. If the mind becomes more purified, it rises to the Anahata Chakra, or center in the heart, experiences bliss and visualizes the effulgent form of the Ishta Devata, or the tutelary deity. When the mind gets highly purified, the meditation and devotion becomes intense and profound. The mind rises to Vishuddha Chakra, or the center in the throat, and experiences more and more power and bliss. Even when the mind has reached the center, there is possibility for it to come down to the lower centers. When the yogi reaches the Ajna chakra, or the center between the two eyebrows, he attains samadhi and realizes the supreme self, or Brahman. There is a slight sense of separateness between the devotee and Brahman. If he reaches the spiritual center in the brain, the Sahasrara chakra, the thousand-petal lotus, the yogi obtains nirvikalpa samadhi, or superconscious state. He becomes one with the non-dual Brahman. All sense of separateness dissolves. This is the highest plane of consciousness, or supreme asamprajanata samadhi. Kundalini, he unites with Shiva. So that was pretty interesting. It shows the pathway and how people naturally will raise or lower to certain centers depending on the purity of their energy, essentially, you can think. And that the ultimate yogi has achieved the super consciousness state, the consciousness of all things, a hyper level of consciousness. And that the lowest state is the lowest level of consciousness. It's much more physical and dense. It's not quite, conscious. I guess you could say it's unconscious. So here's another little one. Yoga Sikha Upanishad refers to each chakra having a number of petals. For those who have a body, their body is a temple of Shiva. It can give them occult powers. The triangular part in between the anus and the penis is called the Muladhara. This is the place where Shiva lies as a life-giving force. There, the Prana Shakti called Kundalini lives. From there, wind is produced. The fire is also produced from there. So this one says it's in the perineal area, basically potentially the prostate. You could look at like the hormones from the prostate, or the some kind of force from there or something. The other ones say it's in the anus, so some people say it's in the tailbone. It's all related to these things to some extent. This is interesting. In the edge of the anus is a Swadhisthana chakra with 6 petals. So again, I believe that's saying the perineal region. I don't know if I've read this wrong. Near the belly is the Manipura Chakra with 10 petals. Near the heart is the Anathata petal with chakra with 12 petals. And the throat, in the depression of the throat, is the Vishuddhi Chakra with 16. In between the eyelids is the Ajna Chakra with its 2 petals. Over that, the Mahapetta called Udayana. Okay. Let's keep going on. Muladhara is the first, Swadhisthana is the second. Here we go. Between these two is said to be the seat of Yoni, perineum, having the form of karma, god of love. So the perineum is in between these two chakras, which is, I guess, what I thought, because in the adhara of the anus, basically the support, or kind of, I believe in the I don't know, the sphincter area or something, there is the lotus of 4 petals. Now I believe they mean by this is it's the front wall of the anus, the back wall, and the 2 side walls are the 4 petals. Similarly, how this has got like six petals for the Swadhisthana, which is kind of in I think it's like the sphincter area of the genitals of the urinary kind of area, so it's kind of like at the base of the bladder or something. Potentially there's like 6 tension points or something, which could be what they call the petals. I'm not honestly sure. Anyway, let's get to some other interesting things. Here we go. Above the genital organ, below the navel, is khanda, of the shape of a bird's egg. Very interesting. There arise from it nadis 72,000 in number. Of these, 72 are generally known. So this is what they call the lower dantian in the Chinese tradition, I believe. And Khanda is like if you look at the sacral bone, it's got all these nerves running through it, and it's got this huge nervous center. That's one of the areas. The bladder potentially is related to it. The bladder is a very nervous system-y center to an extent. It's a very psychic center in the body. It could be related to that as well. Let's keep going on. Here we are, this is the important part. There are 5 elements, Prithvi, Apas, Agni, Vayu, and Akasha, which is water, air, fire, earth, and ether. To the body of the 5 elements there is the 5-fold dharana. Let's look at what is dharana. Practice of concentration. Okay. Okay, let's get back here. From the knees to from the feet to the knees is said to be the region of earth. It's 4-sided in shape, is yellow in color, and has the vana or letter la. Okay. And then it says it's got some meditational stuff. Carrying the breath with the letter la along the region of earth from the foot to the knees and contemplating upon Brahma with 4 faces and 4 mouths of a golden color. One should perform dharana, or focusing there, for a period of 2 hours. He then obtains mastery over earth. Death does not trouble him, since he has obtained mastery over the earth element. So realistically, just kind of focusing from the feet into the knees. And I guess the idea is that this area is where you're connected to the earth. You're walking upon the earth. If this area is weak, then you're not going to be able to walk properly. The region of water is said to extend from the knees to the anus. Apas or water, is semi-lunar in shape and white in color, and has Va for its seed letter. Okay, so again, it talks about meditating here. It's got some interesting visualizations if you want to try that. I'd rather just focus. Then there's no fear of water. There's no fear for him from water, and he does not meet his death in water. So basically, this is helping you to float and master literal water. They're literally talking about water, but also it's talking about the metaphysical forms of water as well. Now, what I mean by metaphysical is, water is a carrier of radio waves, which is psychic energy. That's why you can read other people's thoughts, and they can read yours. And if you're more in touch with your water element, then you can. And if your water element is corrupted, you'll just get thoughts that you don't want, and it's very troubling. I find you can actually focus on the thigh region, this region here, water region. If you're having trouble sleeping, that can actually help. From the anus to the heart is said to be the region of fire. Fire is triangular in shape, of red color, and has the letter Ra. From the heart to the middle, okay, it doesn't say anything special that you get from that. Who knows? But there are things, if you do this enough. From the heart to the middle of the eyebrows is said to be the region of Vayu, or wind. Wind is hexangular in shape, black in color, and shines with the letter Ya. So they say, do this for 2 hours. He enters wind and then void, or ether. So from the heart to the third eye is the wind. From the heart to the anus is the fire. Anus to the knee is water, and knee to the foot is earth. And then from head, or from third eye to crown, is ether. The yogin does not meet his death through the fear of air. From I think that's attached to that one. From the center of the eyebrow to the top of the head is said to be the region of Akasha, ether, or space. Is circular in the shape, smoky in color, and shining with the letter Ha. So those are the areas of the body, and we also have the chakras, which relate to the elements as well. Okay, I'll see if there's anything else interesting or good. Not really. Anyway, so I guess you can play around with that if you're interested in this kind of stuff. Just focusing on the different chakras. Again, we have the chakras which are here. Let's see if I can find this. Yeah, the Muladhara is the anus. Svasthana is near the genital organs, so kind of like the root of the genitals. Manipura is navel, Anahata is heart. Vishuddhi chakra is root of the neck, or the pit of the throat. Sixth chakra Ajna is in the inside the head, the mid-head, with the kind of in between the eyebrows. And the crown is the top of the head, and you can focus on all those. You can go from the bottom to the top and just do meditations like that. And then you can also focus on, as we had down here, you know, the earth region, which was kind of the feet to the knees, you know, the water region, the fire, etc., air and ether, and those are also interesting centers to focus on. So anyway, this is basically the origins of the chakras. This is what they first said. I hope you enjoyed this, and of course feel free to check the links in the description, and have a nice day.